everybody of any reasonable sensibility looks at what you have been saying and what you continue to say and recognize that it blinks at reality. And you know it. You're not delusional, but you are prepared to be dishonest with this Congress repeatedly.
I now recognize Mr. Bishop from North Carolina for his testimony, or for his questions.
Secretary Mayorkas, I'm very glad that the gamesmanship about operational control is finally out in the open. You said just a moment ago that if Congressman Roy hadn't cut you off in that hearing, I was in that hearing in the Judiciary Committee as well. You are one of the most assiduous bureaucrats I have witnessed at evading and filibustering in response when members have 5 minutes to ask you questions instead of coming forward directly. Here's what you could have said to Congressman Roy. No, Congressman Roy, we do not have operational control, but no administration has achieved the standard of operational control set forth in law. That took about 2-3 seconds. And then he could have followed up with this, and I'd like to. Secretary Mayorkas, given that illegal immigration has been setting records for your entire tenure, the fact is that under your leadership, the Department of Homeland Security is farther away from the legally mandated standard of operational control than ever. Much farther away, correct?
Congressman, our apprehension rates are consistent with the apprehension rates of prior administrations over the years. And the fact
by the numbers, if the standard of operational control is no illegal immigration coming across our border, then you're farther away from that than ever.
The fact of the matter is the migration that we are experiencing at our southern border is not exclusive to our southern border. It is gripping the entire hemisphere and the entire world.
Your policies are causing it, Mr. Secretary. Congress set an objective in law. You haven't pursued it. You have pursued its opposite. Who are you? You just said a moment ago that by a reasonable definition of operational control, you've achieved it. Who are you to displace the legal definition of operational control by this Congress in favor of pursuing one of your own invention?
I'm not displacing the definition.
Well, you just said a reasonable one is a different one, right? What do you mean by that? How is the one defined by Congress not reasonable? You understand what law means? You're a lawyer. You're an excellent lawyer. You know that not to be tenable. You're a member of the administration charged with the duty to execute the laws that Congress has passed. Isn't that right?
Absolutely, and we are doing so.
Not the operational control standard. You've abandoned it to adopt one that you say is reasonable. Correct?
Congressman, that is a definition. You're asking me whether we enforce the laws that Congress has passed, and the answer is yes, we do.
No, you don't, because Congress set forth an objective in law, and you have seen fit to disregard it. Let me ask you this. Chief Ortiz, when he testified before us in March, didn't just admit that we don't have operational control of the border, didn't just admit that the border, much of the border is not secure. There was this. I said, the cause is change in policy, is it not, sir? Will you be candid enough to be unequivocal and clear that that has driven the change? And here's his answer. I will tell you, sir, that when I was a deputy chief and acting chief down here in 2014, a lot of people described what was happening here in South Texas as a humanitarian crisis or border crisis. And I was very candid. And I said, I think we have a bit of a policy crisis. And I still hold true that we have some policies in place where we need to ensure that the men and women out there patrolling the border, investigating these criminal cartels, are actually allowed to do their job each and every day. And I said, and their job is to detain and remove immigrants. And he said, yes, sir. How about you, Mr. Secretary? Do you admit that your policies have led the country farther away from operational control of the border as defined by the Congress?
Congressman, no, I do not.
I'm not surprised. Here's your admission. Here's one of your admissions. Look at page 7 of your own written testimony. Guess what you have there? You're asking for a 342% increase in the funding for combating child exploitation. You want to know why that is? Let me tell you, because you won't tell me candidly. The reason is that your policies have led to 345,000 unaccompanied children entering this country, which now the New York Times in multiple articles has revealed what that's led to in the quality of their lives. You apparently believe this to be a game, Mr. Mayorkas. I think that's why all the acrimonious interchanges that happen over and over. Even, the last time that I asked you whether you maintain that we have operational control back in November, and you said yes, and we're trying to make it, and we're trying to do more every day. They played that on 60 Minutes. And let me tell you this, it wasn't because 60 Minutes is a fan of mine. It is because everybody of any reasonable sensibility looks at what you have been saying and what you continue to say and recognize that it blinks at reality. And you know it. You're not delusional, but you are prepared to be dishonest with this Congress repeatedly. I yield back.